Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Black Rose Dragon Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for January 2019. This is the next deck in line for Sisters of the Rose that I wanted to bring you all a deck profile for. Out of the ones I've done so far, this one was probably the most difficult to make a deck profile on, just for the lack of support that Black Rose Dragon actually has. Overall, that's actually, I would say, good support to help out with the deck. Tried mixing in as much plant support as well as just cards to overall help get Black Rose Dragon out, which I think is the main point of the deck, and to also just, control the field with the type of tokens you can make. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, we'll go ahead and go through the non-tuner monsters first. I run 3 Blue Rose Dragon. We've actually had this card for quite some time. It was actually reprinted in the Sisters of the Rose booster pack, so much easier to get. When this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Black Rose Dragon or plant monster in your graveyard, special summon that monster. So it works really well with the whole, destruction of Black Rose Dragon effect, just being able to keep Black Rose Dragon on the field, which is the main point of the card overall, destroying all your opponent's cards, but you still want to, keep consistency with your monsters on the field. So Blue Rose Dragon really does help just for that overall effect. It's not a plant though, it is a dragon, so you can't search it with Lone Fire Blossom obviously, but still very, very nice when you do open up this card to use in that way. I also run 3 of the new Dark Rose Fairy. With this one, it is a fairy monster, so as much as mixing plants, we did have a lot of different cards that also just work very well with the deck. If a tuner is special summoned, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard to place this card on top of the deck. You can only use each effect of Dark Rose Fairy once per turn, so it's an easy special summon, which definitely does come in handy for sure. I also like the top of the deck kind of thing, just because it helps with the special summon to keep consistent with your draw for sure. It really adds to the number of cards you can get on the field to adjust for your special summon plays for sure, which is why I like to run 3 of it in the deck as well. And I also run 3 Lone Fire Blossom. This card overall just helps with the plant monsters we run in the deck, the different ones for sure. You can even go into Lone Fire itself if you wish. We do run Soul Charge in the deck also, so you have a very easy special summon mechanic with this card. If you can get all 3 in the graveyard, then Soul Charge them back onto the field. One key play to try and go for, then you can obviously tribute the Lone Fires to adjust your different monsters for your plant ones on the field as well for all the different ones you can go for. But like I said, it just helps for being able to choose what plant monster you want to go for overall with the deck. And then I also run 3 Evil Swarm Mandragora. I run this card in here momentarily, basically, just for the fact that we don't have White Rose Dragon yet. I believe we're getting that card in the Savage Strike Special Edition, so when that is released, more than likely these cards will come out in exchange for that one. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. It's also a target for Lone Fire if need be. Most of the time I just like it for that fact that it doesn't take up your special summon. You can just get out to the field much, much easier with its own effect. And lastly, for the non-tuners, I run 1 World Carat Weight Champion. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 plant type monster from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard, except for World Carat Weight Champion to special summon this card. You can only use this effect of World Carat Weight Champion once per turn. Really do love saying that name. It is hilarious for sure. Only 1 though, because if it's in your graveyard, you basically have enough to work with as long as you have plant type monsters in your hand as well. Just remember with this card, it definitely does come in handy for that easy special summon, since we have a good number of plants to work with in the deck also. And then moving on to the tuner monsters, I run 3 Red Rose Dragon. Now the biggest thing that took me to loop with this card is the fact that it is a dragon when it obviously looks like a plant, but it is following suit with Blue Rose Dragon also being a Dragon. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can special summon one Rose Dragon monster from your hand or deck, except for Red Rose Dragon. If this card was sent for the synchro summon of a Black Rose Dragon or a plant synchro monster, you can also add one Frozen Rose or Blooming of the Darkest Rose from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Red Rose Dragon once per turn. So the search for the spell definitely does come in handy for sure, but you also have just those synchro options for the Rose Dragons. Like what I said, when we get White Rose Dragon, it's just going to be so much better since it has more search options to work with as well with the cards in your deck. And also for tuners, I run 3 Destrudo, the Lost Dragons Frison. Now this card just basically sets up a very easy synchro summon play, with the deck being the fact that you can special summon it from your hand or graveyard by paying half your life points. Then its level adjusts to be 7 with the monster you targeted with its own effect. So you always have a Black Rose Dragon to make with this card, which, like I said, is very handy for sure. And I like the 3 just for the fact that when you use it, it goes back to the bottom of your deck. But running 3, you don't really use life points for much in this deck, so you just have, you know, targeted options available to you with this card to always draw into it also in case you wanted to go for the play again after obviously destroying your Black Rose Dragon with its own effect to nuke the field. And also for the plant monsters, I run 1 Glow Up Bulb. Very easy to use this card in the deck with Lone Fire Blossom, special summoning it, getting into the graveyard with a Link summon, let's say, for your Link Karibo, and then being able to special summon it back to the field for your additional plays is all very, very helpful for sure. And I also run 1 Spore. Love the art. This was actually a gift from my girlfriend, and it was actually the only Spore that I could find to use for the deck profile. So thankfully I had this one to use in the video. So Spore is great just for the special summon as well. If it's in your graveyard, banish another plant from your graveyard to special summon this card from your graveyard and increase its level by the level of that banished monster. So you have options for sure with some of your other monsters that you run in the deck. Now, the only monster that I didn't have that I might consider running if you are to take out the Mandragora would maybe be Evil Thorn. Evil Thorn just helps with some of the easy special summon options, also being another plant monster, being targetable by Lone Fire for that special summon option. But if you didn't want to take out any of the monsters, there are a couple other spell and trap options, as you can say, we can remove, which I'll get to when we get to them. But moving on to the spell cards, I run 3 Frozen Rose. Very, very helpful in the deck. It is a quick play spell card just released in Sisters of the Rose. You send one face-up monster you control to the graveyard to apply this effect depending on the type of monster it had on the field. If it is a plant, during the end phase of the turn, draw 2 cards, then discard 1. If it is a non-plant, you add 1 level 4 or lower plant monster from your deck to your hand. So you run plenty of plants and non-plants in the deck to make use of this effect depending on which one you want to go for. It's a quick effect as well, so if you have some weak level monsters on the field, just being able to make use of this on your opponent's turn definitely does come in handy as well. And I also run 1 Black Garden, just very, very helpful in the deck for the token control that you can do. It's also, obviously searchable when you summon out your Garden Rose Maiden, which is why I only run the 1. You don't really need more options than that. If a monster is normal or special summon face up, except by the effect of Black Garden, half its attack, then the controller of that monster special summon 1 Rose token to their opponent's field in attack position. This attack loss remains even if this card leaves the field, and you can target 1 monster in your graveyard with attack equal to the total attack of all plant monsters on the field. Destroy this card and as many plant monsters on the field as possible. Then if you do destroy them all, special summon that targeted monster. So like I said, this is the big control part of the deck. The biggest thing to watch out for is obviously how your opponent uses those tokens, but still very, very helpful overall for the control aspect of the deck. And I also run 2 Foolish Burial Goods. This card helps with your setup of Blooming of the Darkest Rose, which we'll get to in a bit, just for the graveyard play it can do. The only reason that I really run this, there's no other spell or traps in the deck to send to the graveyard that would benefit you other than that. And I also run 1 Foolish Burial Goods. This just helps to get your basic, plant monsters or other cards with graveyard effects to the graveyard faster while still remaining with that play for sure. Like I said, most of the time I like to go with World Heavyweight Carrot or Glow Up Bulb. Those are my two main ones I always send with Foolish Burial. And then I also run Card Destruction. Now this one I actually tested out and ended up liking it a lot with the deck for the graveyard plays. Being able to just open up multiple monsters, including maybe Frisson as well, which can also be a Foolish Burial target, and then just replenishing your hand but still having plays to work with in the graveyard with most of your tuner plays definitely does help for sure. And then I also run 2 Instant Fusion. This is for the fusion targets that we run in the extra deck, just to give us more monsters to use for our synchro summons or just special summons in general. And then lastly, I also run 2 Call by the Grave. Very, very helpful for the hand trap plays, especially like if I try to Black Rose and my opponent effect veilers, but I still want to destroy plenty of cards on the field. If you didn't want to run Call of the Grave and go more for a special summon option, you can even consider taking these out of the deck for the Evil Thorn. If you wanted to keep the Mandragoras or, like I said, replace them for White Rose Dragon and then still want options for Evil Thorns, this could be one of those for sure. And then just for a little more special summon, talked about with the Lone Fires, but 1 Soul Charge and 1 Monster Reborn just for graveyard plays. You get plenty of monsters in the graveyard, so best way to make use of them for sure with those. Plus with, if you get the Soul Charge early game, with Frisson being the half life point gain, it won't hurt you as much the more and more you have your life points. But that is it for the spells. Moving on to traps, I run 3 Blooming of the Darkest Rose. I decided and debated how many I wanted to run of this card in the deck. You special summon Rose tokens in defense position to either field up to the combined number of cards in the field zones and field spells in the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target Black Rose Dragon or 1 plant monster in your monster zone, banish it, and if you do, place this card on the bottom of the deck, and during the next standby phase, return that banished monster to your field. You can only use this effect of Blooming of the Darkest Rose once per turn. Now, if it only really had a usable graveyard effect, I would probably only run 1 of it, since it has a recycle ability that you can obviously put back after you send it to the graveyard with Foolish Burial Goods, or, after you use it. But I just like the multiples, so I can open up more of them and then have the option to special summon out the tokens while still having the option, if I have Foolish Burial Goods, to get it into the graveyard to use as well. Because if I open it up and then I don't have Foolish Burial Goods, then I don't really have any other cards to send to the graveyard with that card for the recycle of your Black Rose Dragon and your other monsters after it's banished. And then lastly, for the traps, I run 2 back to the front. Now, I like it just for more special summon options, but if you wanted to run the Evil Thorns, this could be another option to take out along with this, just in case you wanted to go for that play. If you wanted to run the full 3 along with the Call by the Graves, you could take out these 3 here, putting in the 3 Evil Thorns, and then put in a 1-for-1 for the last spot for the Call by the Graves, since you'll have this extra slot open, and it does help with Glow Bulb at times as well. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra. Now, going big on the Black Rose Dragons, I run 3 Black Rose Dragons. These are the ones I got from the Sisters of the Rose booster pack. Other than that, this card's great when it's synchro summon. You can destroy all other cards on the field, and once per turn you can banish 1 plant monster from your graveyard, then target 1 defense position monster your opponent controls, change that target to face up attack, and if you do, its attack becomes 0 until the end of the turn. Great effect. The second one for sure, just to use to go big on your opponent's monsters. The blow up effect definitely does help for just taking care of big field setups that your opponent can do. Also, if you didn't want to run 3, you can obviously just take them out for some other synchro options. If you wanted to try out some different levels as well, with just the adjustments you can do with all the monsters in the deck as well. And I also run 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, just another good level 7 option to run in the deck for your plays. And I also run 1 Garden Rose Maiden. This is the new card for the deck. If this card is special summon, you can add 1 Black Garden from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Rose Dragon monster excuse me, or 1 Dragon Synchro monster in your graveyard. Special summon it. You can only use each effect of Garden Rose Maiden once per turn. So, like I said, this is the card that searches out your Black Garden, so very, very helpful there for sure. But just having the banish option from the graveyard to get back a Rose Dragon or Dragon Synchro of your choice also definitely does help for sure. And then I run one FA Dawn Dragster, just with Frisson being a big part of your synchro plays. It helps for having different level 7 options, same reason with Moonlight Dragon in the deck. And then for the Link monsters, I run the one Link Karibo with the Globe Bulb and the Spore already, like I said. Land Fornicus, one Underclock Taker, one Summon Sorceress, one Topologic Trisbana, one Akashic Magician. Sorry, that was really holding back a cough right there. One Saryuja. And then for the fusion monsters, one Carbonalo Warrior and one Theseus to finish off the extra deck for the instant fusion plays. But other than that, that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And definitely looking forward to building the last 2 decks also, Harpies and Trains. So look forward to those also. I'm sorry, I was really holding it back one more time as best as I could, but I couldn't. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.